Imagine a world where time doesn't flow in one direction, but in reverse. In quantum physics, scientists have discovered a particle called the positron, which behaves exactly like an electron, except it moves backward in time. Some physicists believe this could mean that the universe is filled with particles traveling both forward and backward through time at all times. But here's where it gets even crazier. Some theories suggest that every electron in existence could actually be the same electron moving back and forth through time, over and over again. If that's true, time travel isn't just science fiction, it's happening right now at the quantum level. During World War II, the United States military deployed a Phantom Army, a force of over 1,000 men whose mission wasn't to fight, but to deceive. Known as the Ghost Army, they used inflatable tanks, fake radio transmissions, and loudspeakers blasting recorded troop movements to fool the Nazis into believing entire divisions of soldiers were advancing. This elaborate hoax saved thousands of lives, diverting enemy forces away from real battles. The deception was so convincing that German generals later admitted they had been completely fooled. It remained classified for over 40 years, proving that sometimes the best weapon isn't firepower, it's pure illusion. The Cold War was a time of paranoia, but the United States government took things to a terrifying level. In the 1950s and 60s, the CIA secretly ran mind control experiments under a classified project called MK-Ultra. They illegally tested LSD, hypnosis, and psychological torture on unsuspecting people, hoping to create real-life Manchurian candidates. Agents who could be programmed to assassinate targets without remembering a thing. One of the most disturbing cases involved a CIA scientist named Frank Olson, who was allegedly dosed with LSD without his knowledge and later fell out of a window under mysterious circumstances. Was he pushed? Did he jump? To this day, the full truth remains buried in classified files. What's the highest denomination of US currency? $100? Maybe $1,000? Try $1 million. In 1934, the US printed a $1 million bill. But here's the catch. It was never meant for the public. Instead, these massive banknotes were used exclusively by the Federal Reserve to conduct high-value transfers between banks. They were never legal tender, and almost all of them were destroyed. A few still exist in government archives, but if you ever see one on eBay, it's fake. Sorry, millionaires. This bill was never meant for your wallet. What if Yuri Gagarin wasn't the first human in space? The Soviet Union was notorious for covering up failures, and some researchers believe they may have sent cosmonauts into space before Gagarin, but never brought them back. In the 1960s, 2 Italian radio operators claimed they intercepted Soviet distress signals from doomed space missions. They described one chilling case of a woman's voice slowly fading away, calling out, "I'm hot, I'm burning up." The Soviets have always denied these missions, but the truth might still be floating somewhere in space. Imagine a world where woolly mammoths once again roam the Arctic. Thanks to advances in genetic engineering, that might not be science fiction for long. Scientists have successfully extracted DNA from long-extinct species, and they're working on methods to clone and resurrect creatures like the woolly mammoth and the dodo bird. Some say this could be the key to restoring lost ecosystems. Others fear we're playing Jurassic Park in real life. If the experiments succeed, we may soon see species that disappeared thousands of years ago walking among us again. If you thought getting struck by lightning once was unlucky, meet Roy Sullivan, the man who survived being hit by lightning 7 times. Sullivan, a US park ranger, was first struck in 1942 and then 6 more times throughout his life. His injuries ranged from burns to hair loss, and he even had to outrun a lightning bolt in one case. Statistically, the odds of this happening are 1 in 10 quintillion. We've mapped more of the moon's surface than we have of our own oceans. In fact, 95% of the ocean remains unexplored, hiding creatures, landscapes, and secrets we can't even imagine. The deepest parts of the ocean are so extreme that the pressure can crush a submarine like a soda can. Some scientists believe there could still be undiscovered species larger than a blue whale lurking in the abyss. If that wasn't eerie enough, scientists have recorded strange, unidentified sounds in the depths of the ocean. One called the bloop was so loud it could be heard across the Pacific, and no one knows what made it. The Amazon rainforest isn't just the lungs of the planet, it's a weather-making machine. This massive jungle is so dense and full of life that it literally creates its own rain. Every day, billions of gallons of water evaporate from the trees, rising into the sky and forming clouds. This continuous cycle of evaporation and rainfall keeps the Amazon humid year-round, making it a self-sustaining ecosystem. But here's the scary part. Deforestation is disrupting this process. If too much of the Amazon is destroyed, the entire system could collapse, turning the rainforest into a dry savanna. That would be a global disaster. A cat that's both dead and alive at the same time. It sounds like something out of a horror movie, but this is actually one of the most famous thought experiments in quantum physics. Erwin Schrödinger designed this paradox to illustrate how, in the quantum world, particles exist in multiple states at once until observed. If applied to a cat, it means that until you open the box, the cat is simultaneously dead and alive. The implications of this experiment are mind-bending, suggesting that at a fundamental level, reality might depend on whether we are watching it. Imagine a war where humans with machine guns were completely outmatched by birds. Sounds ridiculous, right? But in 1932, that's exactly what happened. After World War I, Australian farmers were struggling with a massive emu invasion. These huge, flightless birds were destroying crops, so the government sent in soldiers armed with Lewis machine guns. But the emus were too fast and too smart. They dodged bullets, scattered troops, and even learned to take cover. In the end, the Australian military surrendered, unable to defeat the birds. The emus had won the war. It sounds like something out of a movie, but the US military actually has a plan for an alien invasion. Declassified documents reveal that the Pentagon has studied extraterrestrial threats and created a protocol called Complan 8888. This isn't just science fiction. Military strategists have mapped out scenarios for dealing with unknown visitors. The crazy part? This plan covers everything from zombie-like bioinfections to dealing with alien technology. So if the UFOs ever land, the military is ready. In 1954, a man arrived at a Japanese airport with a passport from a country that doesn't exist. He claimed to be from Taured, a nation located between France and Spain. When immigration officers checked, there was no such place on Earth. His documents looked real, his currency was unfamiliar, and his passport had official stamps from countries he claimed to have visited. Authorities placed him in a hotel overnight while they investigated, but by morning, he had vanished, along with all his records. Was he a time traveler? An interdimensional visitor? No one knows. If you zoom out far enough, the universe looks eerily similar to a human brain. Scientists studying cosmic structures have found that the network of galaxies in the universe is strikingly identical to the neurons in a human brain. The way galaxies are connected resembles the way neurons interact, sparking theories that the universe itself may be a giant, living consciousness. Could it be possible that we're part of something even bigger than we imagined? A vast, cosmic intelligence? Some scientists think it's worth exploring. Computers keep getting smaller and more powerful. But what if the future of technology is inside a single atom? Scientists have developed a way to store digital data inside individual atoms, meaning one tiny particle could hold more information than an entire microchip. This breakthrough could lead to supercomputers the size of a grain of sand, or even biological implants that store your entire memory. The future of computing is looking smaller, faster, and more mind-blowing than ever. We've all forgotten a password before, but for Stephen Thomas, it could cost him $200 million. Thomas, a German programmer, stored 7,002 Bitcoin on a secure hard drive, but then forgot the password. The device gives only 10 attempts before it permanently locks the data forever. He has already used 8 attempts with no success. If he fails 2 more times, his fortune will be lost forever. Imagine knowing you're a multimillionaire, but you just can't access the money. In 1961, the US came terrifyingly close to accidentally nuking itself. A B-52 bomber carrying 2 nuclear bombs broke apart in mid-air over North Carolina. One of the bombs fell to the ground, and when experts examined it, they found that only one final safety switch had prevented it from detonating. If that switch had failed, the explosion would have been 260 times more powerful than Hiroshima, wiping out much of the East Coast. The scariest part? There have been multiple close calls like this. The famous Easter Island heads aren't just heads. They have full bodies buried underground. For centuries, people thought these statues were just massive stone heads. But when archaeologists started digging, they uncovered intricate carvings, symbols, and full torsos hidden beneath the earth. Some researchers believe that erosion buried them over time, while others suggest they were intentionally buried for religious or cultural reasons. What else could be hidden beneath the surface? We may have only scratched the surface of Easter Island's mysteries. Deep inside the Mariana Trench, the deepest place on Earth, scientists have discovered something incredible: its own weather system. At such crushing depths, intense pressure causes strange ocean currents, temperature shifts, and bizarre cloud-like formations underwater. The pressure here is so great that if you dropped Mount Everest into the trench, it would still be completely submerged. In 1945, hundreds of Japanese soldiers were forced into the swamps of Ramri Island, where they faced a fate worse than war. As they waded through the waters, thousands of massive saltwater crocodiles swarmed and devoured them alive. Survivors recalled hearing screams in the night as entire battalions were wiped out. It remains the deadliest animal attack on humans in history. From time-traveling particles to secret government experiments, the world is filled with hidden truths and interesting discoveries. Which of these facts surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss more incredible stories just like this one.